The radiator has been removed. The damage you can see. This guy's just hanging on there. There's our radiator sitting over there. You can see the fan. The radiator's kind of bent down the middle and it busted the fan, which then busted straight into the starter. And as you can see right there, that's where part of the fan went into. And even though it did, I unhooked it. There you can see the wires, and right there where my tape is, I blocked it off so nothing gets in the motor there and messes with anything, especially you can see all the just rust and pieces of metal lying around. So this was turned. So my starter was done. With that guy right there, not only my starter being out, it was kind of sideways. You can see it broke the mounts. But I think that right there is why my starter, even though it wasn't in, wouldn't turn over. And I think that right there is what made me blow the 20 amp fuse. Whenever that got hit, sent a surge of power, whatever it might be, and pop, popped, which just happened to be my fuel pump one, the battery inside, killed the motor. So we're gonna get a new starter, we're gonna put her in, and I'm hoping, replace the fuse already, I'm hoping that will fire it up. And if so, I'm gonna get a new radiator, from Patterson Auto Wrecking. They're a salvage yard near us, and we're gonna kind of piece her back together. And by the way, when taking off your radiator, don't struggle like I did at first, trying to bend and pry it. Just remove the top. Just remove the top. 3 bolts each side. I felt like an idiot whenever I actually stopped and looked at it. Unplug your hoses. Boom. There you go. So here we go. We're going to see if we can get another run out of her. See if we can fire her up. Alright, alright, alright. Here we are in the steady rain. If you can see the camera coming down, and we are ready to go. PT is back in action. You can see we still got quite a bit of damage. That wheel is beat a little bit on the top end in. Changed out the tire, just cleared that bottom of the shock there, the strut. I beat it up in with a sledge to try to make sure it was rounded there. It isn't rubbing. If it rubs a little, it shouldn't be a big deal. That tire's actually got quite a bit of rubber on it, but it's on there. Got the starter replaced, the radiator replaced, the core support, top and bottom, which the ratchet strap's going around, still bent, but I took a sledge and I beat it as straight as it could be to where I could at least get it back on in its original position, as this is a windshield class. Got the rebar back in the front. That side I could still bolt. This side, because of that damage to the wheel, and you can see right there, it's actually bent in. I couldn't mount it anymore over here, so I used zip ties and, yes, duct tape. Quite a bit of duct tape. I've seen people even do that, duct tape their cage. So I said, hey, why not in a rebar? I mean, it's going to get hit and crumple, but it's going to give me a little bit more kind of solid state right there and over there in the corner. Maybe protect the radiator a tiny bit, but those things are so soft, not really. Use the ratchet straps. The radiator is, I got the kind of mounts, the plugs on top there in their right place. Bottom is not. So the ratchet strap in particular is for the bottom. And just to show inside here, it's really raining. Again, wiring was all good. Right there is the starter, a little hard to see. No longer has the fan on the inside of the radiator, so more space there. And to be honest, from now on, I should just unplug those. Running the windshield class or the stock class, you really don't need them. They just get in the way and do damage. So, starter replaced, fuse replaced, everything else is as was under here. So I'm pretty happy overall. It's the first time I ever changed a starter or a radiator. Did it myself, had a buddy again. Mike, if you ever watch these videos, big help, man. Big shout out to you. Filled it back up with water, the radiator. The transmission, I did have a problem to where this vehicle, I didn't know this, there's a hose up top and a hose on bottom for the radiator. There's one, they're the bigger ones. Had 2 smaller hoses in the bottom corner. Well, here they ran out of the transmission into the radiator and then back to the transmission. So when I started without the radiator, I actually pumped all the transmission fluid out, and my transmission was slipping so bad it would barely work, and I thought, oh, that CV shaft must have been damaged. turns out it's damaged, I mean obviously, but it still works. I just pumped out all the transmission fluid. So I ended up, from his advice, running it back to itself, and didn't even need to bring it to the radiator, which this radiator actually couldn't because of the way this radiator is. It didn't have the plugs in the bottom. It's a later year PT Cruiser. So that all worked. Again, just a quick walk around as it's pouring here. Just wanted to show. Jeez, you can see the body there coming apart. Back end, again, the forklift that pushed me at the end, I think did more damage. So our goal today is to smash the rear end until there is no rear end left. Try to keep the front end toward the tires. Smash it as much as we can. This is this girl's last run, so we're going to try everything to make it a good one. Again, you can see a little bit better over here. The steering wheel is almost straight. It's a little to the right, but not that to the right. So it might be a little hard, might be a little sideways going backwards, that is, but that's all right. We're ready. We're going to smash it up. I think it's going to be a wet one, steady rain all night. Get a little wet, but that's all right. It's about 80 degrees. It's pretty warm. So there she is. Pretty proud that I was able to get the core support back in place, and we'll see what we got. Here we go.